Okay, so we stopped at Pandu, right? Pandu had gone to the forest and he had already gotten cursed, and he had wanted kids to be able to do the Shraddhanjali for him. So it was very interesting that Dhritarashtra wanted the kids so that his kids could become king. But Pandu wasn't really obsessed about that at all. Pandu was worried about the culture continuing. And also, this is a big concern that a lot of parents have. Specific, but in India, it's definitely a very patriarchal society. And so it is believed that it's the responsibility of the son to look after the parents. And that's while the parents are alive. But also after the parents die, it's the son that has to do the rituals that help the parents when they are in the other worlds. So when we're in heaven, the punya that we get is what helps us when we are in heaven. So if we low on punya, and if our children do punya in our name, we get the punya. So this is what a lot of times parents want, that their child, they want to have a child, so the child continues to do the rituals that give them the punya when they have already died. Of course, the concern is while I'm alive also, there should be someone there to look after me. And so it's in a way, it's a selfish desire because I want to be looked after. I want to have kids. It can be a non-selfish desire that I want to continue the tradition, that I want to continue the knowledge, that I want to create a sense of society and the furthering of that, the sense of community, right? But so do people have kids because of selfish reasons, or this bigger thing of I continue, society needs constant workers, constant newness and a continuation. Reflect. This is where Mahabharata and the talking about dharma can really be thought-provoking for each individual. Why do you want to get married? Why do you want to have kids? Why do you want to have a certain type of income? And I think it would be primarily, probably somewhere between 70 and 90% of the population, to make my life better. I want the kid because, well, even if I'm not thinking the kid will look after me, because in today's world, maybe not, but the kid will look like me. Definitely them to look like me. Yeah, I've met many people. The purpose of having kids is somebody should look like me. I'm sure that's not the only reason, but that's definitely one of the reasons that people have. Or I feel fulfilled because I want to play the role of parent. So I feel a lack in my life by not playing this role. And so the need for having kids is so I feel now my life is full, because that's what we are conditioned to believe, that married, tick, kids, tick. And nowadays, pet, tick. Now my life is perfect. Perfect. And so why did I get it all? Because I wanted to tick all the boxes so that I can be full, happy, successful. But why do the scriptures tell us to get married? Interesting. Why the scriptures tell us to get married. It's not to tick the boxes. The scriptures tell us to get married so that all our delusions about how nice marriage is shattered. We deluded. We are deluded people. We think this one person is going to change our life and make us complete, make us happy, make the world a better place. My email wasn't working today, so I spent a lot of time on Instagram today. There's all these sweet little doodles about how romantic it is to have this person, perfect person, and really they were very cute, very cute. The artist was very good. The concept was very warm and fuzzy. And this one person who will make the whole world a better place. People do make the world a better place. Each one of us can definitely make a world a better place. But every relationship is work and no person is perfect. Yeah. And so our romantic idea of a person fixing things, and that delusion is so strong that until it's broken, we won't want moksha. It's basically that. Right? Most of us want this one person to rescue us from all of our sorrows, rather than me get moksha and rescue myself from all the sorrows. So sad, we're still waiting to be. It's like, somebody is splatting in the water, like I'm drowning, I'm drowning, I'm drowning. But actually the water is only way steep. So actually you can just stand up. But they don't know the water is so shallow. So they splatting and screaming and shouting, I'm drowning, I'm drowning. This is samsara. We frantically wanting somebody to save us. But actually we can just save ourselves. Dharma, what is dharma? Why am I getting married? Because I'm deluded. Well, I didn't get married, so I can save myself from that one. If I'm deluded to think that this is the source of my happiness, then I need to get married to find out it's not the source of happiness. Not that marriage won't bring happiness, right? A person to love, a person can have their good qualities, make me a strong person, can make me a nicer person, can make me a wiser person. But any relationship can do that. Friendships, family members, siblings, any relationship helps me to see myself better and helps me to improve. And so what's the purpose of the relationship? For me to see myself better is the purpose of any relationship. And then building block for me cultivating and practicing all the different virtues. Then why do we have kids? So from dharma point of view, we have to pass down what we have so that it stays alive. I remember a couple of years ago when I was in India and we were working with cord. Cord is our, well, a lot of farming projects, a lot of dealing with alcohol. It does an incredible amount of social work. Cord does really, really phenomenal work. One of the things we were looking at is these people who have these skill sets of something like embroidery or something like a certain art form, but they're getting paid peanuts for their skill set. And then it will turn up on a Sabyasachi dress or sari or shawl, but the person who actually did the design got paid so little. And then that final thing gets paid thousands and thousands because it's got that branded name on it. And so these people in these rural areas, because cord is working in rural areas, they're not doing it anymore. They don't even bother teaching their kid anymore or that skill set anymore. They tell their kids to go learn computers and finance or commerce. And so we literally have lost entire art forms, entire skill sets. And, we underestimate how important certain things are. When I was doing the Shishivihar lesson planning to see how to train toddlers to help them to be able to um, cultivate their brain in a way that would be more creative sense of well-being for them as they grew up. There's this, it's so well documented. If a kid doesn't crawl, then so when a kid crawls, the movement of their legs, legs in specific, in this one, we need movement of every part of our body, but for this example, activate a certain part of their brain. Then when that part of their brain has been activated just by crawling, they now are ready to learn speech, comprehension, and higher cognition of things that are more subtle. So if they don't activate, so if they don't crawl, that part of their brain doesn't get activated. Does it mean they won't ever activate it? No, they end up with learning lags. So all the other kids are doing something, but this kid's not doing it. Why? Because that brain didn't get activated by the crawling. So now you have to activate it now. And you'll activate it in some way or the other. And then by the time they're 8 or 9, they all end up at the same place, right? Whichever learning lag you had. So if the kid doesn't crawl, because some kids just are so impatient, they go straight to walking, then what you do is you lay them on their back and you just move their legs back and forth. And it will still activate that part of their brain. And so they'll still have the same benefit of if they crawled. Our grandmothers knew this because after bathing babies, they would sit and do these things. They would massage them and make their legs move. They would massage them and make their hands move. So even if the kid didn't do it itself, grandmothers, great-grandmothers, and then now we very sophisticated, modernly educated Harvard graduates, we don't do all these old-fashioned things. We read, Einstein, to expect you acting, and then we don't do so much of what was already so well tested. What am I trying to say? Why do we have children? Because there's a wealth of knowledge and there's a certain skill set that we have in every culture and in every community, which is such a treasure, and it gets lost if we don't pass it down to the next generation. So we have children to keep these valuable things that we've learned alive. Today, they don't listen only. How to give it to them. But we wait too long. Have to give it to them all before they're 6 years old. Yeah. This you really have to give it to them before, because after they turn 6, they don't listen. They have so many demands and moods and tantrums. Okay, why did you get married? Why did you have kids? Pandu. Pandu wanted to have kids so that somebody would do his puja for him. And he would feel, actually, to be fair to Pandu, he wanted somebody to do the puja for the whole lineage, not just him. He was a sweet guy. I think I mentioned that last week. Because he thought, if I'm doing for my father and I'm dead, who'll still do for my father? And then who'll do for me? So he did think of himself, but he thought of his father first. So who was Vichitravir, right? And then the whole lineage. So Pandu wanted kids. Is that where we stopped? I think so. So Pandu goes to the rishis and he asks them, how can I have kids? And the rishi says, well, you were born by a rishi continuing the lineage. So you also tell your wife to continue the lineage, and one of the rishis can help you. So Pandu goes back and speaks to Madhavi and Kunti. And now Kunti has this boon, but she doesn't tell him just yet. She says, no need. She Kunti tries really hard not to use her boon and not to have children from anyone else. And she narrates a story of a king who died, and then the rishis bless the wife by using the something of the dead body to be able to conceive the children with. Very technical. And Pandu cuts her off and says, I'm not so great. You're not going to be able to use my dead body to have kids. I think you need to use a living rishi. So finally, Kunti says, well, I have this boon. And Pandu hears of this boon. He's so excited. He's so excited, like a kid in the candy store. This is Kunti's. Kunti is very mature. Kunti is definitely very, very mature. In Devadatta's Patnayak, is that his name? The one who has also written a commentary on the Mahabharata? He portrays her horribly. It's really interesting who you read, because it will really influence the way you think. I've noticed even with the news, when we listen to news, it really influences the way we think, the way the news reporter has a bias towards you because of the way they get reported. And even with the scriptures, when we listen to people, the person we're listening to starts to influence the way we think about it. And so when I was reading him, his name is Deva. He's so crude in the way he's written the Mahabharata. Literally cringe. Because the Mahabharata is quite scandalous in its stories. So it can get portrayed in a very sensuous, very base manner. But then it's no longer scripture, right? Then it's your any TV, Netflix, soap opera, your any drama, Bollywood, Hollywood. Makes Mahabharata scripture is that it shows human weaknesses and the ramifications of those weaknesses. And sure, a movie does that. But the goal of the movie may not be to show how a weakness can ruin your life. And so don't have this weakness. Whereas the Mahabharata really is saying, if you do this, this is the kind of life and the kind of consequences that you have. So Kunti's portrayal, if Kunti is portrayed as a power-hungry woman, power-hungry, manipulative woman, we're not going to like her, and we're not going to want to be like her. And it's very interesting when women are powerful, how they get portrayed. Kunti is a very powerful woman. From the time she's a very young child, she was able to win the respect of rishis, already powerful. She has this mantra, very powerful. She's a queen of Hastinapur, very powerful. Both men and women react very differently to powerful women than they do to powerful men. And somehow, powerful women are perceived as more threatening than powerful men. And when powerful women make mistakes, they're not forgiving. I'm not deluded about this. Absolutely, everyone gets criticized, but they allowed less room for error. And they very quickly seen to be selfish. Who? Powerful women. Now, Pandu was selfish in wanting kids. Nobody's holding it against Pandu. Pandu was selfish in wanting to hunt. Nobody held it against Pandu. Kunti, so quickly they judge her to be selfish because she didn't want to share her mantra with Madhavi. That she didn't even say no. Actually, nowhere in actual Mahabharata does Kunti ever say no to sharing the mantra. But people add a lot of masala to it. So Kunti's read it to make sure that I didn't get a perception and I wasn't influenced by anyone's opinion. She's a powerful woman and she is a woman of very few words. So you actually can't misinterpret her because she doesn't say much. But people project a lot on her. Yeah, and this is the other thing about our scriptures and the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. They really don't show women as much. So Kunti is not shown as much as Pandu is shown or Dhritarashtra is shown. And later on, you'll see when Draupadi comes into the scene, she's not shown as much as the Pandavas are shown. So it's really not easy to get a good sense of the woman because you don't have enough information about the woman. And so this in itself shows you that it's patriarchal at that point in time. And this is where it got handed down. A mother would hand down to her child, her daughter, lots of knowledge. It didn't get documented. But if it didn't get handed down, gone now. Okay, coming back to Kunti. Kunti has this beautiful boon. Now, why do I genuinely really like her? One, because she is such an incredible devotee of Krishna, but because you see these small things that she's done. She's so loyal to her adopted parents, but she's also incredibly loving to her biological parents. And they all family, but she has this incredible respect to them all whenever she's meeting family people. And here in this incident, she's now revealed that she has this boon and she can have a child from the Devatas. And the first thing she does is she asks Pandu, which Devata should I call? Actually, it's her boon. She could choose, have a kid. She doesn't. She gives him so much respect. She's so considerate. She wants to include him in the process. So she asks him to choose which Devata she should call. Pandu is virtuous, wise. He chooses Yamraj. Did I talk about this already? Yamraj is probably not the most popular of gods. He is the god of death. And, like living in Hong Kong, number 4 sounds similar to death in Chinese, and no buildings in Hong Kong have number 4. Death is not popular. And 13 in the West, but here it's 4. Sounds like death. And so who does Pandu choose? Lord of Death. Why? Why would you choose the Lord of Death to father your child? I feel like I've said this, but I'll just say it again. There's nothing like death to help us get our priorities straight. And there's nothing like death to help us to know very clearly the consequences of our actions. Because when we die, we really see more clearly. And when we're faced with death, we immediately see clearly. People simplify their lives very quickly when they're faced with death. And they give importance, even if it's for a short time, they give importance to what is actually important when they are faced with death. So Yamraj is called. And Yudhishthira is born. When Yudhishthira is born, there's a voice in the sky, which is Yamraj, blessing Yudhishthira, giving the name. So when they're all born, Yudhishthira, Bhim, Arjuna, when they're born, they are named by the gods themselves. and they were given a blessing. So Yudhishthira was given the blessing that he would be the most noble person to ever have existed. I don't think after Yudhishthira anyone has ever been as noble before Yudhishthira. Well, Satyajit, lots of people were noble, but Yudhishthira is this incredibly interesting character. And when you're not familiar with Hinduism and the Mahabharata, you don't really know Yudhishthira. But when you are familiar with the Mahabharata and Hinduism, Yudhishthira is considered to be the true hero of the Mahabharata. Not Arjuna, Yudhishthira. He is, oh, wow. He is like 100% sattva. He is so incredibly caring. He is so firm and clear on what is right. But most of all, he is, in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a term, ananya bhakti, which means when you love something or someone with absolutely no sense of otherness, and there's no other thought in your mind except love when you're in that frame of mind. Yudhishthira had that. Yudhishthira's love for Krishna was so complete. Like there's no flaw in the way he loved Krishna. There's no I in the way he loved Krishna. There was only Krishna in the way he loved Krishna. I mean, Arjuna didn't even recognize to be like 11th chapter of the Gita. Here you have Yudhishthira from birth, having this absolute clarity of who is Krishna. And his surrender to Krishna is so incredibly beautiful. The way Yudhishthira praises Krishna is poetry. And if you reading it and you understanding it, you'll get goosebumps. Like his love for Krishna is so beautiful. Of course, Arjuna's love for Krishna is also beautiful because that's how we love Krishna. We love him, but just do what I want, no. So we like Arjuna's love for Krishna. But Yudhishthira, no. Yudhishthira's love for Krishna, I'll do what you want. Yeah. And just even the slightest movement of Krishna's head, you need something. It's like so attentive, so devout, so sincere. Yudhishthira's love is really amazing. So we have Yudhishthira being born of Yamraj. And being born of Yamraj, he has a very close connection to Vidur, because Vidur is also an Amshar of Yamraj. And so their bond is also very nice, Vidur and Yudhishthira's, because it's, like when you vibe with someone, they would get each other without having to talk, because they understood dharma so clearly that they already knew what had to be done or what had to be thought or what had to be understood. And so Yudhishthira has this beautiful bond with Vidur. Yudhishthira also has incredible love for Bhishma Pitama. Again, he is Bhishma Pitama sees Yudhishthira and thinks, wow, finally, Hastinapur will have an ideal king. That doesn't go quite as planned, but like Bhishma Pitama was raised to be the perfect king of Hastinapur, and then everyone after that was like, eh. And then Yudhishthira comes along, and he was going to be the best person after Bhishma Pitama to take over Hastinapur. And so, of course, that love and connection to Bhishma Pitama was amazing and beautiful. And then to his own father, because firstborns hold a special place in parents' heart. And it's just what it is. It's okay. People like me who are secondborn, we learn to live with it. But it's that moment where your life changes because this child has come along. And so, of course, he had this love with Kunti and Pandu. After a year of Yudhishthira being born and bringing so much joy, you must remember Yudhishthira lives till the age of 16 in the forest with all the rishis. Imagine The first 6 years of your life is where everything needs to go in that is going to count. He lived with the rishis in the ashrams in the forest. Like he got the best satsang ever. Because Pandu was living in the forest. So a year after that, Pandu approaches Kunti and says, just one son, he'll be so lonely. Any great king should have a person to stand next to him to give him strength. And so please invoke the god of the wind, strength. And that can be Yudhishthira's strength. So god of the wind for strength. And we know this because of Hanuman Chalisa, and we've studied the Hanuman Chalisa extensively. And so I'm going to focus a little bit about Vayu and breath and wind and air. Why it brings strength? Because the Mahabharata is a story, but it's to teach us dharma, and it's also to teach us just principles. No, sorry, it's not to teach us principles. It's to teach us the natural order of things, universal laws. Dharma is universal laws. This is the way things work. That's what dharma is. And so air, being strength, is dharma. What's the dharma of air? Strength. What's the dharma of strength? Breath, which again is ingenious and mind-blowing. But let's finish beam. So Kunti invokes Vayu Devata. He comes. There's an interesting difference even in the actual Mahabharata, when it doesn't seem to be a physical relationship. But with other devatas, there seems to be physical relationships. And so the strength of the devata to be able to conceive also seems to vary. So Bhim is born, and it's too cute. Bhim is like probably, if Yudhishthira is like this amazing person who is just too good to be real and just flawless, Bhim is like your comic relief and your affectionate guy who everybody loves, and he's just so cute, is your Bhim. So firstly, he's like 3 or 4 months old, and some tiger roars, and Kunti gets really startled, and he falls. And she's sitting in the forest, and he rolls, and he falls on a rock, and Kunti and Pandu are like, ah! And the rock breaks. Didn't get hurt, the rock breaks. Like, this is why Bhim is comic relief in this, because it's like the parents are like, my baby, and what happens? The rock breaks. It's like you should have been worried about the earth. And then when he falls after the rock breaks, the whole earth shakes because Bhim is so strong. And then there's many other incidences of how incredibly strong Bhim is. Okay, so why is Bhim so strong? We know this from Hanuman Chalisa. Hanumanji is also born of Vayu. And so Bhim is actually Hanumanji's younger brother, which is very cute. They meet all at once, where Hanumanji blesses Arjuna, not Bhim, to win the Mahabharata war. Why is Arjuna so special? We shall see in a moment. First, let's see Bhim and... Okay, what gives us our strength? Not our physical body. Physical body is not what gives us strength. Our stamina, our circulation, our digestion, our breath, pranas, give us our strength. So pranas give the body strength. If we have low pranas, body becomes weak or sick. Even to the point where in Ayurveda, it is explained that if breath or air or vayu gets caught anywhere in the body, so let's say there's a little bit of air that gets caught like here, because the cells didn't move properly or whatever, it will become pain. Air stuck anywhere in the body will cause pain. That shows you how powerful air is. If it doesn't move because it's meant to move, it causes pain. That's so powerful. Like, what's causing you pain? Air. Air is causing pain. And it's horrible, huh? It's really bad pain. And then Ayurveda will make everything move again. All the prana should move, all the vata pitta should move. And then the air comes out. You feel such incredible relief. And if you can't relate to that, if you want to burp and the burp is not coming out, that's not so painful, but it's uncomfortable, right? And it can really, it can feel suffocating, even though we're breathing just fine. So air gives the body strength, our ability to breathe. And that's why the emphasis on breathing deeply and breathing slow, and from which part of the body we breathe, from the stomach or from the chest or from, actually we're supposed to be breathing with our whole body, which if you try to do takes a lot of effort and you can't do anything else. Then the whole day you're just focusing on breathing with the whole body. That's already a full-time job. Until of course you get a full hang of it. Then you live 500, 600 years, if you can do that. There are rishis that have been alive 500, 600 years. Why? Because they have learned how to breathe with their whole body. So, if you want to, then by the time you master it, you'll still be alive. You can do other things too. If you want, go for it. But now, more importantly, when we have control over our breath, or when our breath is healthy, it makes our mind powerful. So our breathing affects our mind immediately. And so we know that when we get angry, breath gets short. When we're filled with lust, breath gets short. When we're scared, we can't breathe. Right? So the minute there's a strong emotion within us, the breathing changes. And apparently, even when we lie, people who are very acutely aware, like poker players who want to be able to tell if the other dude's bluffing, you can see their breathing. Apparently changes when we lie. Like breathing gets very affected by what we're feeling and what we're thinking. But so the more strong and healthy our breathing, the more strong and healthy our mind is. Of course, the more strong and healthy our body is, but the more strong and healthy our mind is. And when we do japa, and I don't teach this very often, so let's make the most of it since I'm teaching it, doing my job well here, teaching japa. We can just chant japa, which is what most of us want to do, to be able to just chant the japa and enjoy the japa. But in a more disciplined, more focused way of doing japa, we can, not supposed to. This is a sadhana. Of course, we don't have to do every sadhana, but it's nice to know about it and to play with it and to see if it works for us. We chant the mantra in the inhalation. So the whole in breath is Om Namah Shivaya. The whole out breath is Om Namah Shivaya, which means your breath has to be slower than your regular normal breathing, because you have to say, it demands a lot more attention being put into our chanting if you have to synchronize it with your breathing. So let's try for a few moments, okay? Legs crossed, back straight, eyes closed, and use whichever mantra it is that you normally use for your japa. Some of them are longer than others. And so you might have to say the mantra a bit faster. Just we're going to do this for a whole minute, okay? As you breathe in, chant the entire mantra. As you breathe out, chant the entire mantra. And work out the speed of chanting and the speed of breath so that it's comfortable for you. Now change it to being silent and focusing on inhaling and chanting the mantra only as you exhaling. So breathe in deep in silence and focus on the in. As you breathe out, chant the mantra. Now we're going to change it again. Breathe in, hold the breath as you chant the mantra. While you holding, you chant the entire mantra. Once you finish chanting, breathe out. Breathe in, hold and chant, breathe out. Breathe in, hold and chant, breathe out. And just let go of any kind of control and let your breathing return to normal. Let your mind stay peaceful. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your hands in front of your heart, gently bowing down, and in whatever ways that's comfortable, coming back to open eyes. In Yoga Shastra, this is the way they do japa. And these are the levels of mastery. Yeah. There's other variations of doing it where you each syllable, breathe in Om, breathe out Nama, breathe in Shi, breathe out Va, breathe in Ya. The reason for these variations is the mind very easily gets bored, the mind very easily wanders. But when you link it into a pattern of breathing, you have to be paying attention. Your mind can't wander because are you breathing in? Are you breathing out? What are you on? Sure. You have to pay attention. So it's forced focus of the mind. Mm. And the highest level is to chant the mantra when you hold your breath. When you're holding your breath, the mind's at its strongest. Interesting, isn't it? So when wind was stuck in the body, it caused pain. But we can't just won't. Well, it will if you overdo it. You have to know just how much. So it's like any instrument we have, knife, fire, it can both hurt and be extremely effective. Like it's powerful, right? Anything that can destroy becomes powerful. Anything that can damage becomes powerful. So breath is incredibly powerful. And it's the most powerful when it's being held. And so even rishis will say, when you really want to remember something, hold your breath, think it. And think when we're emotional and we're not aware of what's going on with our breath, so many things, and then it gets hardwired into our thinking. When we're in pain or when we're in fear and we freeze and we're holding breath, and all that gets hardwired into our thinking without us even consciously knowing that it's happening. Whereas here we're consciously doing it. Hold breath, higher wires, makes it more mind more focused, more likely that it's going to get remembered. It has more power when we hold our breath. So I did very short now. I did about 1.5 minutes of each one. For the next week, you play with doing japa using your breath. Okay, so beam. Beam was strong. Yudhishthira was incredibly noble. And so beam was the strength to help nobility succeed. Because when we noble sometimes and we're not strong, we just get taken advantage of, or get overlooked, or bullied, or ignored, or dismissed. Mm. So for dharma to win, it has to be strong. So Bhim was Yudhishthira's strength, and wow, was he strong. And actually, the two of them, the word they use today is bromance. The two of them really had a bromance. Means when they love each other like brothers so much. You know, for Yudhishthira, the softest spot was Bhim. For Bhim, he's soft. Well, Bhim is soft. He'll do for anybody. But Bhim's softest spot was Yudhishthira. And that's why when Bhim got angry with Yudhishthira, it was cruel. You know, this, when you love the person more, you're also more mean to them. And so, especially Bhim's personality type. Bhim's this very affectionate, very, and then, you know, when he gets angry, he does it very properly. When he's nasty, he gets very, very properly nasty. And when he loves you, he loves very properly. And when he hugs, very properly, like full, 100. Bhim is all or nothing. That was Bhim's personality. You can see that with the wind, no? Wind can be so ferocious, and the wind can be so gentle, and the wind can be so unforgiving, and the wind can be so nurturing. And Bhim really was like this. And you're like, you know, like he's a cool friend to have. He'd be the life of the party. Yudhishthira is a cool friend to have because he's reliable, but you can't take Yudhishthira to the party. Yudhishthira is no fun at a party. Bhim is fun at the party. Now, a year later, Pandu comes back and says, can we have another son? Now, to Pandu's credit, he thinks, who? We have dharma and we have strength. Now who to? So he goes to the rishis and he asks for advice. And they say, do tapas and Panti for a year, and then later have a son to Indra, so that you have fame. Now there's desire for fame in all of our hearts. Even recently, I don't know, Vivekachudamani Gita, where I talked about all of us constantly thinking about what do people think. But here, the rishis advised Pandu to have fame, because when dharma, which is noble and strong, becomes popular, such a nice thing. Otherwise, what gets popular? All these faltu things. Yeah. We have youth class, and my youth are very entertaining. Well, I think youth generally are very entertaining, and this one person loves the Kardashians a lot. Like, so, you know, curiosity, I watched a few clips on YouTube, and they so bad. Talking about diamond ring being lost in the ocean, or asking a blind person for directions. It's like they deliberately try to be even more brain dead than what a normal person's brain dead would be. But apparently they're very popular, they're very well known, they're very wealthy, they're very influential. And so now one of them has gotten involved in legal rights for people who are on death row. Huh? A worthwhile cause. Would we even know that people on death row don't have rights? But now, because one of the Kardashians is involved, people are aware about it. Fame can be used in such an incredible way. This Elon, Tesla dude. He has to make thousands of youngsters. This is now their guru. They will agree, think the way he thinks. with such resolve they follow him and his thinkings. They're all ready to go to Mars. See you. Go. Enjoy. Imagine loving someone so much that you're ready to go to Mars. Yeah, we don't even know if we can go there yet. But they're ready to go. Fame. What we will do when we perceive a person to be worthy of our admiration. So if dharma can have fame. So this combination is beautiful. Yudhishthira is complete sattva, noble, dharmic, knowledgeable, devout, on the foundation of strength, so unbeatable. That made famous. That's why the Pandavas are seen as one. Pandavas aren't seen as separate. They're the perfect person. All five of them put together are the perfect person, which is what Draupadi asked for a husband. But no one person has it all, so she ended up with 5 husbands. Okay, then Madhavi wants kids too. She's too scared to ask Kunti, which is why Madhavi's scared to ask Kunti, and Kunti gets a bad name. Kunti goes to Pandu. Pandu said, anyway, I wanted more children. So this is good, because remember the rule, you only do anything 3 times. Kunti says, I will not ask a 4th god because I've already reached the 3 rule. 3 times you can make exceptions. 3 times you can deviate from dharma. Actually, Kunti's already deviated. And this is why it eats her. It really eats her. Madhavi uses the mantra. Madhavi is very calculating and says she doesn't want just 1 kid. If Kunti has 3, so she calls Ashwini Kumars, who are in charge of the 2 nostrils, and so they're twins, and she has twins. The Ashwini Kumars are very interesting devatas. They feature here and there quite often. You would think that the nose is inconsequential, but actually it features quite a bit in all our Puranic literatures. They get around. So Nakula is incredibly handsome. The description of how handsome Nakula is, you would want to see him. It is said that Nakula is so handsome that people could not turn their face away. Imagine so handsome that you cannot turn your face away. Men and women alike could not stop looking at Nakula. And no matter how self-controlled you were, you desired him. That's apparently how good-looking Nakula is. And so when the Pandavas walked, they made Nakula walk behind Bhim. And Bhim would stomp on the ground and make all this dust fly so people couldn't see Nakula. Because if they saw Nakula, everyone just followed him. Literally everyone, like how good looking was he that people literally followed him. Like I want to see also how good looking was this Nakula. And so sad for Nakula that all the Pandavas have such incredible qualities and his only quality is he's good looking. That's all that's ever said about him. And he's very good with horses. At least he's good with horses. Skill is very important in the Mahabharata. When the battle was being fought, Nakula was very good with being able to guide and care for all the horses. So he was good with animals. he did have a talent more than good looking. Yay! So sad if that's his only talent. Um, and Sahadev was incredibly intelligent. Sahadev was also blessed with this ability to be able to see into the future. And so Vedavyasa knew what was going to happen, and Sahadev knew what was going to happen, which is kind of sad because what was going to happen is everyone was going to die a very horrible death. So Vyasa engineers this whole event where he comes to tell Sahadev to never say anything. So you see, Sahadev is incredibly intelligent, incredibly intelligent. But because he has this gift of being able to see the future, he is sworn to pretty much silence. And he only talks if somebody asks him a question. And he'll answer minimal. Are you hungry? Yes. That's all he'll say. And if you don't ask, he won't say anything. Why? Why was he sworn to silence? Because he knew the future. And that's not a good thing. And this is nice that we know this, because even recently somebody called me and something was happening in their life and it was hard times. And she said, I went to go see the astrologer. I'm like, why? Why did you go see the astrologer? Because I wanted to know what to do. The astrologer is going to tell you what to do. Take the job, don't take the job. The astrologer is going to tell you what to do. What happened to using your intelligence? If God wanted us to know the future, Sahadev wouldn't be sworn to silence. We're not meant to know. We're meant to live now. What will be, will be. It will come. When it happens, we'll figure it out. We don't need to know now. What we need to know now is, what is my dharma? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Am I like Yudhishthira? Am I loving without a second thought in my mind? No? Useless, good for nothing. Love without a second thought in your mind. That's what we need to know. We don't need to know the future. We need to know how to live now. So Sahadev's intelligence actually never gets used, which is such a shame, because he was genius. But his genius couldn't be used because he knew what was going to happen the next moment. Also painful for Sahadev to sit and watch it unfold. And so very often you see Krishna kind of just doing an arm around Sahadev. And it can go so unnoticed unless you know that Krishna knew Sahadev's pain, because Sahadev knew all the horror that was about to happen. And before it happened, it would be like Sahadev would just literally, like cringe before the injection, and Krishna would look at him. And that gaze of Krishna looking at him would kind of ease, because Krishna also knew what was going to happen. But Krishna smiled. Krishna smiles his entire life, even though he knows all these horrible things are going to happen. And the horrible things are happening to him, Horrible things are happening to Krishna. Even then, he's smiling. Okay, coming back to Arjuna, and then we'll conclude the class. I know I've gone a little bit over. When Arjuna was born, fame because I went to Nakula and Sahadev. We didn't do Arjuna properly. All the gods gathered in the sky when Arjuna was born. And they couldn't see it. Who couldn't see it? Kunti and Pandu couldn't see it. But all the rishis living in the forest could see it. And they were like spellbound. They were like awestruck because the gods were all gathered in the sky above Arjuna, and they showered flowers. Now we can't see when they shower flowers. You know, in the Hindi movies, when the gods are showering flowers, actually they shower flowers, but we can't see it. Only people with Divya Drishti can see it. So why so special? Yudhishthira is this amazing person, beams the also a Devata son. Why Arjuna got such special, and then Arjuna gets treated like the hero of the Mahabharata? Why? He's just fame. He's not anything extraordinary. Like, who wants fame? Everybody. No, it's for another reason. The voice in the sky said that Arjuna was a reincarnation of Nara. So there's these two great rishis, Nara and Narayana. The name Narayana means God. The name Nara means man. They were both rishis. They were both people, and they were named Nara and Narayana. They were incredibly great rishis who have promised to constantly bless the earth, and so they are reincarnated at any given point in time. So even now, somewhere, they are walking this. But the names of Nara and Narayana, even though they're both great rishis and they continue to bless the earth, is this combination of man and God. And you see this in every tradition, right? Man and God. That's me and you. We and God. And so Arjuna is Nara, man. And Krishna is Narayana. And so for every Arjuna, there's a Krishna. For each one of us who are Nara, man, woman, there is Narayana. And so Arjuna is the representation of the reason God comes to us. A really beautiful quote I read today. I told you, I was on Instagram today, thanks to email networking. Because we spoke about breath also. Inhale, and God approaches you. So nice. Is God approaching me? Inhale, God approaches you. Hold the inhalation, and God remains with you. I thought this is beautiful because we did the japa also, right? Hold and do the japa. God remains. And literally, when you hold your breath, whatever you say while you hold your breath stays with you. Yeah. Inhale, God approaches you. Exhale, you approach God. Hold exhalation and surrender to God. This is Nara and Narayana. This dance, this devotion, this bond, this connection between man and God. And that's why Arjuna holds this very special place in everybody's heart and in the Mahabharata itself. It's this connection. It's this eternal entwining of two that are actually one. And that's Arjuna and Krishna, the eternal entwining of two that I actually won. So the Pandavas have been born. We'll see more next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.